I'm delighted to report that I have joined as a scholar the Declaration of Independence Center for the Study of American Freedom at the University of Mississippi. The center offers educational opportunities, speakers, internship, and reading groups for the University of Mississippi community. It is named in honor of the United States founding document, which constitutes the nation as a political community and expresses fundamental principles of American freedom, including in the recognition of the importance of Judeo Christian values in shaping American exceptionalism. Dedicated to the academic and open minded exploration of these principles, the center exists to encourage exploration into the many facets of freedom. It will sponsor a speaker series and an interdisciplinary faculty research team. If you'd like to learn more about the center, please visit OleMiss, that's OLEMISS.edu/independence/. Hi, everybody. This is Saad. Today, I've got a third NBA superstar on my show. You'd think he's the first one. I've
Interesting.
had John Amayechi, who was a courageous guy
Yep.
because he came out as the first openly gay player, who was also, I think, a center. Second honey badger, Jonathan Isaac, who stood up for his beliefs. And now today, I've got the distinct privilege of having Enes Kanter Freedom. How are you doing, sir?
Good, man. Thank you for having me. I appreciate that.
I'm very, very excited to speak to you. You have a book coming out on October
Mhm.
7th. I don't know if it was strategically meant to come out on October 7th for
Mhm.
symbolic reasons. Uh, it's called In the Name of Freedom. Talk us through this thesis, and then we'll drill down.
Of course. So the book talks about a lot of like coexistence, and I've been trying to, organize basketball camps, all around the world, and we are trying to bring all Abrahamic faiths together to inspire the next generation. And obviously, everybody knows what happened on October 7th. So I was like, and every book in America, I don't know, for some reason, comes out on Tuesday. So when my publishing house said, well, we have these days, I was like, you know what? The book talks a lot about the coexistence, especially the relationship between the Muslims and Jews. So I was like, you know what? I think that will be an amazing time to just inspire the next generation. So,
Right. And offline, before we came,
mhm.
on the show a couple of days ago, you texted me and you said, please read these following pages because it exactly speaks to sort of some of the stereotypes that each group might have about the other. Maybe we could start there and then we will go into other topics.
Of course. So I think that I think the people to understand where I'm coming from, they need to hear about my childhood, because growing up in Middle East, if you're a politician, right, and if you want to be elected again, you do a couple things. You attack America, you attack Christians, you attack Jewish people, and unfortunately, the base is so uneducated. They're like, wow, look at our leader, right? He's standing tall against America. He's standing tall against the West. He's standing tall against the Christian or Jewish people. Let's vote for him. And unfortunately, every politician uses that, right? So when I was growing up, it was the same case. I grew up east side of Turkey, where like it's close to like Iran, I guess. And many politicians there were using that propaganda. So I remember I was 9 years old. I went downstairs to play with my friends, and my friends who were not even teenagers, they were burning American flags. And I remember I asked one of my friends, like, dude, what are you doing? They said, well, we should hate America, we should hate the West, we should hate the Christians and the Jews. I was like, why? They said, well, that's what we seen on TV. So they gave me a flag to burn it. They gave me an American flag, they gave me a lighter, and they said, burn it. And I remember just, I literally looked down. I'm like, this is not the right thing to do. So I threw the flag down. I ran upstairs to my mom. I was like, Mom, my friends are telling me to hate America, hate Jewish people, hate Christians, hate the West. What do I do? My mom said, I'm not going to tell you what to do, but do not hate anyone before you meet them. So that was like the first time that I was like, I give a promise, and I'm not going to break the promise no matter what. I want our audience to understand, it's not the religion, it's not Islam, it's the politicians. because it's the easiest way to be reelected again, to use that hate and to create a platform and to look like a strong man, right? So I mean, right now, when you look at all over Middle East, I mean, you will see flags on the streets and people are stepping on it and stuff. So it breaks my heart.
Had you ever, so I went back just to get my numbers right, and I think around the turn of the 20th century,
Mhm.
towards the end of the Ottoman Empire, you had about 200,000 Turkish Jews. The current numbers are at around 14, 15,000, so a precipitous drop. So having said that, did you meet and interact with many Turkish Jews growing up, or was your first Jewish encounter in the United States?
Oh no, no, I did not at all. In Turkey, I did not have any Jewish friends. After I came to America, I remember in New York, I was sitting down, and this guy had this like, I've never heard this kind of like accent. His accent was like Turkish, but he has this thick Jewish accent with it. But I was like, "Where are you from?" He's like, "I'm from America." I'm like, "No, you're not." And then he told me about his story. He said, "Well, he was a Turkish Jew. He moved to America a long time ago. He actually owns like one of the biggest hotel in New York." We had a really good conversation, and we had a really nice lunch together. But no, I never ever met a Jew when I was growing up in Turkey. Met my first time actually a Jew was in America.
So maybe now this is the right time to cue
Mhm.
the story with the
Oh
girl
God.
who invited you for Shabbat dinner. I love that story. Thank you for pointing me to it. Take it away.
So obviously after I was 17 years old, right? I was about to come to America. Before I come to America, like the environment that I was growing up in was getting so toxic. My dad said, enough is enough. You are going to America. I even remember asking my dad, like, do you really want me to go to Devil's Nest? He looked me dead in the eye. He was like, go and see it yourself. I said, okay. My plane took off. I was about to land in New York for the first time. I'm like, I'm so excited, but the nervous same time. I just don't know like what to expect. I landed. I remember I joined my first high school practice. Um, there was two of my teammates. After the practice, we're sitting down in a locker room, and they said, "Hey, man, like we know that you're Muslim. Would you like to, take you to a mosque and go so we can go get some halal food after?" I turned around and left the locker room because I just didn't know like what they were trying to do. Then I remember the promise. I came back. I was like, look, let's just go. You know, they were so respectful, man. They took me to a mosque. They took their shoes off. They were so kind. And then after that, we went to go get some Turkish food. It was delicious. And after that, obviously, I started to make like a lot of friends. I attended this event. I met with this girl. She was very kind, very nice person, and and after that we started to become friends. She was actually helping me a lot with my English. We had we study a lot together. And then after that, the one day, she said, "Well, I know that your family's not here. Would you like to, come to my house?" I was like, "Well, I'm free Wednesday." He's like, "No, no, no, no, come Friday." I was like, "Well, I might be busy Friday. Why?" I'm free Wednesday. They're like, "Well, you have to come Friday." I was like, "Why?" They said, "Well, that's what our like big dinner is." I was like, "What kind of dinner are you talking about?" "Well, it's a Shabbat." And I was like, "What's a Shabbat?" They said, "Well, it's like this um, like a religious dinner that we have every Friday." I'm confused. Like, what are you talking about? It's like, well, just because we're Jew. As soon as I heard that word Jew, boom, I hang up the phone. I
Wow.
promise you. And then I'm like, I threw my phone in my bed. I'm like, I cannot believe I just had a conversation with someone who's a Jew. Like, am I going to hell?
A devil, a demon.
Exactly, like literally. And then after that, I'm like, that night, I'm like, I slept maybe a couple hours. I'm like, I remember, I know that I give a promise to my mom and I cannot break it. But then I'm like, there's no way I'm gonna continue to have like some kind of friendship with a Jew. Um, in the morning, I'm like, you know what? I mean, my mom is like one of the most important things to me. I cannot break that promise. I called her back. I'm like, you know what? I'm coming. But I'm only asking for one thing. I am not converting. You guys cannot convert me. I don't drink alcohol and I don't eat pork. She's like, good, we're Jew. We don't eat pork either. Um, so I hang up the phone. Before I go to her house, I called one of my friend who lives in America. I was like, listen, man, I'm gonna go to my friend's house, and he was like, why are you calling me? He's like, well, she's a Jew. And he started to scream. He's like, are you crazy? What are you doing? They drink blood. They eat
Of course.
babies. You gotta like, they're gonna convert you. Don't make that mistake. I was like, listen, man, I give a promise. I mean, I cannot break it. So I went to her house. She came out to greet me, and before I went into her house, she like kissed her hand and slapped something outside of her door. I'm like, "What are you doing, you weirdo?" She's like, "Well, that's like a prayer that we put on our door. It's called mezuzah. Then it just protects our house." I was like, "Oh, we kind of like have the same thing. It calls like Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim with like with in the name of God." So I was like, that's interesting. So I walk into her house. I promise, like her mom had like a big tray of like a Turkish delight. She was just greeting me with a Turkish delight. I was like, interesting. So I took one, tasted it, put it back. I was like, that's actually like one of the best, tastiest delight I've ever ate. So we sit on the table, and I'm just like looking everywhere, right? I'm like, if there's any kind of like red drink that they're drinking, if there's any kind of like weird meat. I'm like, it's all in my head. I'm like, this is so crazy. Um, and then her dad just pours something on a weird, like what do you call this? Like you pour wine or something on
Like a
a
cast, you
yeah,
say in
exactly.
Arabic. Yeah. Go ahead.
So he did that. He prayed over, broke the bread, and I'm like, she gave me like a little cup. I'm like, I'm not drinking that. Get that away from me. Like, I'm not drinking that thing. She was like, dude, it's a grape juice. I was like, so she gave me one. I'm like, I smelled it a little bit, put it on the side. I'm like, I'm not drinking that thing. But I remember the bread, I had never tasted bread that was so delicious. I don't
Yes.
know what's it called. Um,
Challah.
Challah, yeah.
Yeah.
And then after that, we had an amazing night, man. I was very like curious. Like I was like very like I was like when I was tasting the food, I was like very careful and stuff. But um after the dinner, like I saw some of the cultures were very similar to ours. And before I leave her house, her mom said, just come anytime. We are your family now. I don't know what you heard about the Jews when you were growing up, but don't wait for Shabbat. Just come anytime you want. And when I left her house, I started to get very emotional because there are millions of kids in Middle East growing up anti-West, anti-American, anti-Semitic, just anti-Christian, just because of those hate speeches coming from those governments. I was like, my life mission now is like whatever I do, I gotta inspire the next generation to understand better the other side. So,
Phenomenal. I have a story that's quite similar to yours in the sense of demystifying
mhm.
stereotypes. So in my first semester as a doctoral student, I studied at Cornell.
Oh,
Uh,
nice.
yeah, and actually I no, not in this book. In my forthcoming book, Suicidal Empathy, I actually discuss the story. So you're getting a preview of the next book. I call it the Jew story, and you'll see in a second why.
Okay.
So first semester, so I'm from Lebanon, and so Arabic is my mother tongue, and
Oh,
so,
beautiful.
yeah, and so when I got to Cornell, I I was very quickly friends with some Arab guys, just because we're
Mhm.
all Lebanese, we all speak Arabic, we all love soccer. I was a very good soccer player, and so
Yeah.
we used to always play soccer together. And so one day, one of those guys invited me out It's fun. It's so funny how the dynamics of the story are almost the same as your story. So he invites me out for a coffee, and I'm like more than happy to oblige. So we go out for coffee, and then as we sit down, he says to me, it's actually the opposite of your conversion story. He tries
Mm.
to convert me to Islam.
Oh.
So he says, Gad, you're a very smart guy. How come you haven't converted to Islam? So I looked at him and I said, I'm not going to say his name, although maybe I should at this point. But anyways, I looked at him. I said, if the point of this coffee meeting is for you to do this conversion stuff, it's not going to go well. So now he
Mm.
realizes it and he backs away and then he pauses and he goes, Gad, I really like you. And I look at him and I, with a little smile, and I say, why do you say that with some hesitation? Oh, I know why. It's because I'm a Jew. He goes, no, but come on, you're not a Jew. I said, no, no, no. I am a Jew. Now, why do I put this story? Is because in his mind,
Right.
here is this guy who doesn't fit the stereotypes that I learned.
Mm.
Jews are diabolic. Jews are cowardly. Jews are pigs. Jews drink the blood. He plays soccer better than all of us combined. He
Oh
speaks
my God.
Arabic just like the rest of us. He is a really sweet and fun guy. So
Right.
he can't be a real Jew. So he's not a Jew. So the only way he could reconcile the story in his head is to remove the fact that I'm
Mm.
actually not a representative of the real Jews that
Right.
can't be like me. So that story keeps repeating itself, Ennis.
That's so funny, man. I mean, also like after like I left her house, right? I wanted to actually understand better, like what's happening around the world. Um, and like I remember like texting her one day. I'm like, look, like listen, I my English is not good. I'm not gonna be able to like read any books about these conversations that we just had. But like, is there like a documentary? Is there like a movie? Is there like a show that I can watch to understand what's happening around the world better? She said, of course. I was like, what is it? She said, there is a movie called Don't Mess with Zohan. Watch that movie. Watch that movie. You'll understand everything. And I'm like, I don't have no idea. Well, like, I have no idea that's like gonna become like one of my favorite movie of all time. And so I watched it. I called her back. I was like, I wanna, what is it called? The Sizzly Bubble? That what is it called?
I don't know. This is the movie with Adam Sandler, right?
Yep, yep, exactly. With the Israelis and Palestinians, and they play, and they at the end they become friends and stuff. I started asking her like, is there like this that sizzly bubbles actually exists or not? She was like, no, it does not exist. But no, man, I mean it's when we organize these basketball camps around the world, I know what's going on. Like the kids don't even. It's actually a very crazy story. So in 2022, this is actually I don't know if I ever told you this story before. Um, I sit down. So when I was playing for Boston Celtics, I had a conversation with um, the Israeli Consul General to Boston.
Yes.
So I sit down, I have a conversation. His name was Ziv Booker. I don't know if you know him or not.
No, I don't.
So we sit down and we were having this conversation. I'm like, okay, I asked him like, what can I do to like to try to bring two sides together? He's like, well, man, it might be impossible, man. Like, look what's happened around the world. I was like, listen, man, I think that the food, sports, and art, you can use it to bring people together. I was like, so I was always like brainstorming him, like, what can we do? And one day I called him. I was like, I need to meet you immediately. So me and him became really good friends because he invited me for a Holocaust Remembrance Day. And I mean, I never heard about Holocaust till I came to America. Till I
What?
actually meet with him. Yeah, of course. I mean, they're not going to teach you about Holocaust in
Yeah.
Turkey. So I actually started to heard about Holocaust for the first time in maybe I was like 26, 20, 25, 26, you know? So this guy invited me for a Holocaust Remembrance Day. And I'm like, sure, I'll come and learn. I don't know a lot about it, but I'll come and learn. So I went to the event, and while I'm like standing up and have a conversation with the guy, we were brainstorming like what can we do to bring two sides together. There was this like old lady. I think she was like over 90 years old. She was in a wheelchair. She rolled over, and she looked up, right? And she's like, I never seen a Jew this tall before. I was like, man, you're so sweet, but I'm not a Jew. He's like, what are you? He's like, I'm Muslim. He's like, what are you doing here? He's like, well, I'm here to learn. So she started to tear up.
Wow.
And Z told me that she's a Holocaust survivor. He had this like a, what do you call this? Like a little
Yeah, the tattoo numbers.
tattoo, right? I was like, wow. I mean, I was like, ma'am, aren't you too old to get a tattoo? Because I don't know anything about it. I didn't know I was gonna like offend her or whatever. And then she started like crying. She was like, let me explain it to you. Well, if you're here to learn, let me explain it to you. And then she started to like, teach me about, she's like 90 years old, barely speak, can barely speak, and broken English. And she was like telling me about the Holocaust. And I was like, this is crazy because I've never even heard about it till I was like 25 to 26.
Wow.
So after that, me and Ziv had a conversation. I was like, "Look, we gotta do something, man." So I decided, this is crazy. I decided to organize a basketball camp in Jerusalem where I'm gonna bring Palestinians and Israelis together.
Wow.
People said, you are crazy. They're not gonna play basketball. They're gonna fight, blah, blah, right? I was like, I don't care what happens. I don't care what it takes. I'm gonna make that happen. So the only problem was, so when you go to Jerusalem directly from America, you go over Turkey. So if obviously I'm like the most wanted man in Turkey, so if I fly over Turkey, what these dictatorships do, they call up the plane and there's a bomb in the plane. So they bring the plane down,
Oh my God.
they arrest the guy, and they let the plane go. So I had many conversations with the Israeli ambassador or many other ones. They said, we're gonna take care of it. So we had a conversation with, I believe, Elal. The captain's like, listen, if you want, we can go around Turkey. So we don't have to go over Turkey. This is an amazing project. We want you to do it.
Wow.
No, this is actually a crazy story. So literally, I got in a plane and I landed in like Italy or something. And then after that, like we went around Turkey with Elal. We landed. My first day, we brought, Palestinians and Israeli kids. They walked. There's a big YMCA in Jerusalem. I'm sure you know about it.
Mhm.
So they walked in, right? Is Palestinians in one half court, the Israelis in the other half court. They're not even forget about like shaking hands. They're not even looking at each other. I'm like, what am I gonna do? This is crazy. So I started to put them in the same team, right? And they were not even passing the ball to each other. Is that crazy? They were losing the games because they didn't want to pass the ball. Like the guy is open, pass the ball. Anyway, so there was this one moment I put myself in their team. I got the rebound. I give the ball to this Jewish Israeli kid. He crossed someone over. He had to pass the ball, like the ball to this Palestinian girl, and she scored the ball. While she was coming back, they high five each other.
There you
I
go.
was like, you know what? This is the most beautiful scene I've ever seen in my life. This is it. We broke the ice, you know? And then after that, after 2 weeks, they started to, exchange numbers, follow each other on Instagram. They were just taking selfies. I was like, this is it. We did it, you know? No, it was so beautiful, man. But I just wish that it wasn't for only 2 weeks. It was just, continue to happen.
So I want to. So you started with the story of when you were 9 years old, where you
Uh-huh.
decided I don't want to burn the flag, which suggests to me that it is part of your innate makeup to question things, right? You're an authentic guy. You're open-minded.
Mhm.
You're not scared to. Now, I think that is the random combination of your genes that make you who you are. In the same way that you're 6'10", you're also the guy who says, "I'm not just going to believe something." But do you think there is a way to bottle that kind of courage? That because as you said, a lot of the hatred comes from people not questioning the stuff that they're hearing, whether they hear it from your political leaders or they hear it from their religious leaders, it doesn't matter. They take it as gospel. The Jews are evil. But you came along at 9 years old. And by the way, I have a very similar story. When I was 5 years old and we were in Lebanon going to the synagogue, and
Mhm.
there are different rituals you have to do. When I asked my father, well, why are we now standing up? Why are we sitting down?
Yep.
And he just told me, just shut up and do it. And that upset me because
Exactly.
I don't, what do you mean
They-
shut up and
yeah.
do it? Explain to me why. So that was part of my makeup to question things as it is for you. Is there a way that we can teach people to be more open-minded, more courageous, or it's just the random luck of your genes?
I mean, right, I mean, right now, if you go on, I mean, if you're a teenager, right? And if you don't know anything about these conversations, what do? You go on TikTok, you go on Instagram, you go on Twitter, and there is so much misinformation out there about the Jews, about the Muslims, about the Christians, about the blacks and whites, like about everything,
Yeah,
everybody. Now everyone has a voice, right? Everyone is trying to become this activist, and everyone trying to become this voice for the voiceless. But like, there is so much misinformation. If you're not educated, you can be putting like the wrong things out there, and like people are gonna believe it because, it's all about your algorithm. So it's tough, man. I mean, back in the day, it wasn't that crazy. We didn't have TikTok, we didn't have Twitter that much. We only have Facebook, maybe YouTube, right? Um, so I mean, it's these kids like these days. I mean, it's being brainwashed by many tools out there. So I think like the courageous voice like needs to go out there and speak up. And if you feel like you're educated enough, just go out there and speak up. And like my mindset, you know, I support innocent people. I don't care what your background is, your religion, your skin color, like whoever you are. If you're innocent, I support you. You
right.
know.
And that's how
But
you got into trouble with the NBA because you were supporting the Uyghur Muslims in
Uyghurs,
China. Yeah,
yeah.
and suddenly that's not a good thing because the NBA doesn't want to be, in bad terms with the Chinese. So tell us
Oh,
about that.
I mean that thing. So like when I started to, speak up about the things that are happening in Turkey, about, dictator Erdogan or his corruption scandals and how he puts innocent people in jail, actually NBA supported me a lot. The Commissioner Adam Silver, all my teammates, my coaches and the fans. Like they supported me and that gave me so much hope for the future. I was like, you know what? Like they have my back and they give me motivation to fight, you know? And when I started to talk about the problems that are happening in China, my God, like that support was nowhere to be found
Yeah.
because they don't make a lot of money in Turkey, but they make billions of dollars in China. Just just listen to this. More people watch NBA games in China than American population last year.
Wow.
So think about like endorsement deals, shoe sales, jersey sales, TV deals, like Tencent. So it's like for them it's like literally the biggest market and they did not want to lose it. When back in 2019, when Daryl Morey, the GM of the Houston Rockets, and I believe he's now the GM of the Sixers, tweeted about stand with Hong Kong. I believe Adam Silver said the NBA have lost what $150 million. And
From
when I
that tweet.
just with one tweet. It's
Wow.
actually out there on the internet. So when I started to speak up about the problems that happened in China, I was playing for like the biggest team and the marketable team in NBA, Boston Celtics, and um, and they stopped showing every Celtics game on television, the Chinese television, and that costed NBA millions of dollars.
So did Adam Silver approach you and say, "Hey, Ennis, time to chill out a bit," or it was never directly stated to you but implied?
So it was actually like even worse. It was like the NBPA, the Player Association, which I paid thousands of dollars every month to protect my rights against the NBA. And they were like, listen, man, like we are getting a lot of calls from everywhere, especially the NBA, the front office. You can now wear those. So I started to put in these like messages on my shoes. I put free Tibet, free Uyghurs, stand with Hong Kong, stand with Taiwan, because there is no rule against it. Back in 2020, when all the protests were happening in America, all the players were putting on their shoes, I can't breathe, Breonna Taylor, George Floyd, Black Lives Matter. I'm like, listen, you have a freedom of protest in America, so sure, you can put whatever you want to put. But literally 2 years later, when I wanted to put like free Tibet, right? And
Yeah.
another human rights issue. It's not a political issue. You cannot tell me not to wear it. So NBA pressured me so much to not to wear those shoes. They even came to me before this Knicks game and said, you can now wear the shoes ever again. And I'm like, am I breaking any rules? They said, no. To me, it was a perfect moment because I was just getting ready for my citizenship test. So I'm like, I closed my eyes. I was like, okay, we have 27 amendments. My first amendment, freedom of speech. I turn around to that guy. I'm like, no, I'm not taking him off. And they threatened to ban me from the NBA. Um, and then after that, things got worse and worse. And then after I started to talk about the problems that are happening with Nike, with all the sweatshops and slave labor, all my teammates came and gave me a hug in a locker room and said, listen, man, this is your last year. I hope you enjoy it, but you're never going to play basketball ever again.
Oh, they knew the writing was on the wall.
Oh, yeah. That was it. My agent even called me, and he was like one of the biggest agents in America. He's like, listen, man, I work for you, I don't work for the NBA, so I'm gonna be honest with you. If you say another word, you're 29, 30 years old, you can't play another 5 years. You're not only throwing away your NBA career, but you're throwing away between 45 to $50 million. If you want to do it, go ahead.
I wanna stop you right here and explain a really important concept based on what you just said. And please bear with me as I
Of course.
explain it. So in biology, there's this principle called costly signaling. So
Mhm.
for a signal to be an honest signal, it has to cost you something. Otherwise, right, if I put hashtag BLM or hashtag
Mhm.
a Ukraine flag, it doesn't cost me anything. So for example, the peacock's tail, right?
Yeah.
The big peacock's tail, the reason why the peacock is able to evolve that trait because it
Mhm.
actually reduces its survivability
Right.
because it makes him more seen by predators. It makes it more
Mhm.
difficult for him to escape. But that tail evolves because it is a costly signal of how good his genes are. He's telling
Mhm.
the ladies, despite the fact that I've got this very costly tail, I'm still here. Therefore, you should pick me as your mate. You giving up 40, 50 million dollars is literally a costly signal. I mean, in a monetary sense, you're
Mhm.
you're you're walking the walk, whereas most of the idiots are putting hashtag, but they
Oh, God.
they right. So to me, it's the highest form of integrity. Do you ever, in the deep recesses of the privacy of your thoughts, regret that and say, God damn it, or absolutely not? I stand firm by my principles. I've never regretted a thing about what I'm doing.
People keep, often talks about that me losing my career, or me losing like tens of millions of dollars because I wanted to stand up for what I believe in. But that was pretty much like nothing compared to losing my family. I literally wanted to speak up about all the injustice happening in Turkey and all the human rights violations and political prisoners in Turkey. I have not seen my family almost 11 years now. So that's literally nothing. Like I know it's gonna sound like a little crazy, but losing 40, $50 million or losing my NBA career is literally nothing compared to losing my family, you know? Last time I can't remember what my mom looks like now, you know?
Wow.
It's been 11 years now.
Now
Uh,
that's because you can't go to Turkey, but what stops them from meeting you in New Jersey or Boston or LA?
So I'll tell you the whole story. So back in 2013, there was a huge corruption scandal happened in Turkey, and President Erdogan and his family was involved in it. And that was the first time I came out said something because this guy, well, this dictator was going around and putting innocent people in jail and shutting down media outlets. And I'm like, I don't care who you are, but if you're fighting against free media, I'm going to say something. So I literally put a tweet out there. Because of the NBA platform, it became a huge conversation. And then after that, I'm like, even one simple tweet can affect this much. From now on, I'm just gonna study more and see what's going on in my country. So I started to speak up, right? First, they sent me a lot of warnings. My dad was a professor. He got fired from his job. My sister went to medical school for 6 years and she still cannot find a job. I think like the saddest one was my little brother because he wanted to be like me, be like his big brother, play basketball in NBA. But because of the same last name, he was getting kicked out of every team. So they were getting pressure so much they had to put a statement out there and said, we are disowning Enes. Actually, the letter is still out there on the internet. So the Turkish government didn't believe that. they sent police to my house in Turkey and they raided the whole house and they took every electronics away, phones, computers, laptops, iPads, because they wanted to see if I am still in contact with my family or not. So they couldn't find no evidence, but they still took my dad in jail for a while. But thanks to our politicians and our American media, we put so much pressure on them, they had to let him go. But and then, they revoked my passport. They put my name on Interpol list. I am now only allowed to go to 29 countries in the world. If I go anywhere else, and if that country has an extradition deal with Turkey, they have to send me back. And just recently, back in 2023, I believe, I met with the Pope. And obviously, it became a huge conversation. It became viral. And then I literally the next day, they put a bounty on my head. So um, I had a conversation with the FBI. They said you have to come to America immediately. And then I came to America, and now like everywhere I go, I have to let the FBI know. So the reason that they're not, well, I'm not allowed to go to Turkey because I have a 12 arrest warrants for me by the Turkish government, but they're not allowed to go because my dad was in jail. They took their passport away, and now they're in a situation that they're being watched all the time. I mean, I can't even, you know, call
Oh,
up my mom or dad because they listen to everything and they track down everything. So if I want to send my family money or anything, I have to send my brother money, which played basketball overseas, and my brother sends my family money because if it goes directly from me to them, it's like an act of terrorism in Turkish government's eyes.
it's unbelievable.
So so that's nothing, man. Like me losing my career or basketball, whatever, is nothing compared to what happened with my family.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Do you ever foresee now, Ottoman Empire goes out, Ataturk comes in, wants to create a secular state. Okay, now we've got Erdogan, a bit more of a Islamist bent. Do you feel that the Turkish population, in the same way that we hear, let's say, about Iran, oh, Iran has been held hostage by
Mhm.
the Islamic, government since 1979, but they are actually very pro-West, pro-Jewish, pro-America. Do you feel a similar dynamic in Turkey, or much of the population is brainwashed to believe all the nonsense?
So I go with both sides. So way before Erdogan, Turkey was becoming more democratic. They were going for European Union values, Western values, and I was like, this is actually beautiful, because Turkey is the only Muslim NATO ally, and they have the second biggest military in NATO. So Turkey plays a very strategic role in Middle East, in Europe, everywhere. But after Erdogan, take over, I mean, people are like, so there's nobody that can go against them. And there was like Istanbul mayor, I don't know if you heard about him, Ekrem İmamoğlu. He was this one charismatic leader that will just go against him. He was getting a lot of support, millions of people that said, you know what, finally we have a leader that can go against Erdogan. And literally, he put him in jail.
Is he
There
still
was
in
another
jail?
Kurdish guy, and
Is
it's
he?
Selahattin Demirtas.
Wow.
Boom, jail. So Turkey's been held hostage by Erdogan for sure, just like Iran. Um, I mean, don't get me wrong, man. I love Turkey. I love my country. I love my flag. I love my people. The reason I'm giving this fight is because of I want Turkey to be free again.
Yeah.
When you think about Turkey right now, like it's so sad. When you think about Turkey, you think about a government that Erdogan government that helps terrorist organizations out there, like Muslim Brotherhood, Hamas. He actually gives passports to these terrorist leaders so they can go in and out of European countries. He threatens the whole Europe. He let, I believe, around 10 million refugee in, and he tells the European countries, if you don't listen to what I have to say, I'm gonna let all the refugee goes. And if you're a country like you don't want that, you don't know if they're like an ISIS supporter, you don't know if they're like a Hezbollah supporter, you know what I mean? So he threatens the whole Europe, and now it's like I feel like this is enough with the condemning. I feel like we need strong leaders that's gonna come out and said enough is enough. I'm tired of condemning. We got to start taking actions against Erdogan's regime.
How much of his, so for example, if you look at, okay, the Islamic regime in Iran, they're very
Mhm.
much animated by, their religious ideology. If you look at Bashar al-Assad, or if you look at Saddam Hussein, I mean, yes, they were Muslim, but they didn't really care so much about Islam. I just want to be the thug of the region and steal everything, and I'm just a dictator. Yes, I'm Muslim, but being Muslim is incidental to the fact that I am a dictator who. Now, in Erdogan's case, you can kind of see a bit of both of it. On the one hand, he's a dictator who just wants to always be in power, but he also seems to be very much animated by sort of a rather extreme version of Islam. Is it both or is it one? How do you define
So in many countries, it's the easiest way to brainwash people. This guy, Erdogan, for example, right? When he goes to rallies, he speaks for 1 hour and then he holds like a religious book, Quran, and he's like, whatever I'm doing for the name of God. So if I'm stealing, support me. If I'm putting
God
innocent
wants
people
it?
in jail, support me. So the Islam is not the problem. The religion itself is not the problem, but the politicians are the problem because they're using religion to brainwash people, and all these people who are uneducated, they're like, wow, look at our leader. He's religious, he's holding Quran, he prays 5 times a day, which I don't even believe that he does. He turned Hagia Sophia into a mosque.
Yes,
He does. So like it's the easiest way to brainwash people. So I want to make this very clear. The religion itself, Islam, is a peaceful religion, is not the problem. Is these politicians who uses this religion to brainwash people, and it disgusts me because like this is like literally God will like punish you for it, and that's exactly what Erdogan does. And many people right now believes it, and also all those media outlets. Like look at like Turkey supposed to be this like secular country, but after Erdogan took off, like all the journalists in jail, all the media outlets who says anything against Erdogan is in jail, or shut down. Um, so I don't know, like I don't know why these, countries are still like condemning Erdogan because he does not care, man. We got to start taking some like concrete actions against this regime so we can have a better Turkey, free Turkey.
I hear you. Inshallah. Uh, Let me ask
Inshallah,
you
yeah.
some more positive stuff. I mean, because of course we want to talk about all
Mhm.
the difficult conversations that are in your book. In the Name of Freedom, October 7th, go out and buy it. But let's talk. I've got a former NBA star here, so I would be remiss if I don't just talk some, just NBA gossip.
Mhm.
Talk to us about, who are some of the, you don't have to name names, but, what is it like on a daily basis to be an NBA player? Who are some of your best friends in the NBA? What are some cool stories that you could share? I met Michael Jordan and my God, give us some of that juicy stories. I'm sitting here with a former NBA Boston Celtics star. Talk to us.
I'm gonna tell you the funniest story I've ever like witnessed in NBA. So I was playing for Oklahoma City Thunder, and obviously we have lots of like international players. We had this one player. His name is Serge Ibaka. Yeah, I believe he was from Congo, and he was an amazing player, really athletic. Like he can defend, he can block shots, literally like everything. And he was like, he can jump out of this world, like that crazy. So he signed a contract, right? He signed a really big contract, and when his money hit his account, he looked at it and he was like, "Well, not all the money that you guys promised is in my account." And then he went to talk to this one of this like lady in the front office. I'm like, "Hey guys, like you listen, you promised me, let's just say like 5 million, but in my account there's only like 3.4 million, right?" And the lady turned around and was like, "Well, Uncle Sam got it." And he just got mad. He's like, "What?" He turned around and left the office. He went downstairs. He started to like knock our GM's door, And he opened the door and he's like, this Serge Ibaka said, give me my money back. And he's like, what are you talking about? And he told the story is like, well, you got my money, but so the RGM's name was Sam Presti. Okay.
Also, he thought it
So
was him.
so I thought it was him. He thought like, well, when they say Uncle Sam, the Serge thought, well, the Sam Presti got some of his money, and he
That's
was just
unreal.
knocking his door, give me my money back. No, there was, and then she sit him down and is like, listen, Uncle Sam is the government, and you gotta pay taxes and all that stuff. I was dying, man. When I heard about that, I was like, this is the funniest story ever.
He
But
should try to come to Canada and see what the taxes are here. But
oh
anyway,
yeah, yeah. No, I heard about that. But the other story was so I was a rookie, right? In
this is 2011.
2011.
Yeah.
Well, 2012 because we had a lockout in 2011. So we started the season really late and we played the playoffs in 2012. And our first round was against um, the Spurs, San Antonio Spurs. And obviously, as a rookie, you want to show yourself. It's your first playoff games. And our starting big man got in foul trouble. And I had to go in and guard Tim Duncan, obviously one
Ooh.
of the best power forward of all time. And I walked in, and this guy like put his hand out. I was like, he shook my hand. I'm like, oh my God, it's like very nice. He's like, hey man, how are you doing? How's your family? How are you
Wow.
adjusting? I'm melting inside. Tim Duncan is having a conversation with me. I'm like, oh my God. So, and then after that, like every position, he was just like asking me a question and he was giving me tips. And then after that, coach called a timeout. Our starting big man literally just grabbed me by my like jersey. He's like, what are you doing? I was like, what? I'm just having a conversation with the legend, Tim Duncan. He's like, look up. I looked up. This guy had like 40 points, right? He's like, he's softening you up, man. Stop. Do not listen to him. That's his trick. And I'm like, at that moment, it hit me. Like, oh
Amazing.
my God, this guy it's like a trick that like the older people uses that like to soften up the rookies, like, hey man, how you doing? How's your family? And then you're like, you're so nice, but you turn around, bang, bang. So I mean, we end up losing that series, and I learned a very valuable lesson. I used that trick on a rookies that was coming to the league a lot, but that was like a big lesson. But no, Russell Westbrook was my really good friend, Steven
Oh,
Adams.
he has a gorgeous sort of mechanics and when he shoots. Yes.
Right. Oh yeah, of
Yeah. Yeah.
course.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kevin Durant, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Taco Fall. This guy is like 7'6".
So you're
Um,
the short guy next to him.
I'm exactly. No, no, he was a giant. But no, man, throughout my NBA career, I played 11 years and I had an amazing time.
And did you ever get, so I've had on the show, other than I mentioned these NBA players, I've had
Mm,
my childhood musical hero who was the lead singer of the Stylistics, which are a very famous
mm.
soul group from the 1970s. And when I had him on the show, I asked him, his name is Russell, actually, Russell
Okay.
Tompkins Jr. I said, hey, Russell, before, I mean, you're a legendary singer, you've sang with James Brown and Michael
Mhm.
Jackson and the whole thing. Do you ever get nervous before you go on to sing? And he goes, God, I can't even, my legs are going to buckle. And I
Mhm.
actually was very happy that he said this to me, Enes, because I was then going to use that story to motivate my students when they're going up to do public speaking and they're panicking. I'm like, hey, the legendary singer gets nervous. It's totally normal to be nervous. So, having set that up, would you get super nervous before games, or after a couple of years, it's my job, it's no problem?
So the first couple of years, I was super nervous because like you go in front of like 20,000 people, and it's not only like 20,000, like obviously because of the social media, millions of people out there watching you. So if you get dunked on, if someone block your shot, if you miss like a game-winning shot, like literally it's embarrassing because like um everyone talks about it on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and that's like I feel like that's like the most challenging part for an athlete. Like I had some teammates, they used to go on their phone in halftime and they used to like look at it on like what on Twitter what people says about him. And
Wow.
obviously like these fans are sitting on their mom's basement and they were just tweeting crazy stuff. And that was like getting into people's head, you
Amazing.
know? And the second half they go out, like they play terrible. Um, no, I have many teammates they used to throw up before the game because they were so nervous.
Wow.
And now after a few years you get used to it, but the first couple of years is the toughest thing. And also like people need like all this if any athlete is watching this like or if any fans watching this especially like we are human beings as well, you know, like they think like like a human circus,
Right.
right? Whenever like they want us to go out there and entertain them. Fine, we are doing it, but like it's okay. Like we are human too. We might have like problems. We might have family problems. We might have wife or girlfriend problems. We might have, I don't know, like a bad day, or we might be sick. So they want us to be our 100% every time we go out, but like we are human beings as well, you know? Um, I think that's the one thing that fan needs to understand. Like this is not a circus. We are trying to entertain you guys out there, sure, but like we can't. It's okay to have like a one or two bad games. Don't bash us if
Right.
we miss like a shot or if we get our block, if our shot block, or if we get dunked on. Like it's okay, you know.
So let me ask you this. Part of being human is that you often will succumb to temptations. So, and you don't have to mention names, or you could mention names of only people who display the moral character to not succumb to those temptations. So, of course, you always hear about all the beautiful women who hang around at every place because they want to meet the
Mhm.
beautiful basketball players, and they're rich and they're tall and the whole thing. Did without you don't have to mention names, but did you ever meet any
Mhm.
Family Guy, kind of Charlie Kirk, right? I mean, Charlie Kirk, the reason why we all love him, by the way, he was a very good friend of mine. One of the reasons why I think people admire him, other than his message and so on, is that he lived a life that embodied all of the values, right? It's about his wife, it's about his children. So, were there many NBA players who were married who exhibited the Charlie Kirk morals, or it is so hard to be moral when you have the world's women thrown at you?
So I will say this, you know, I mean myself, I'm a man of faith. You know, I believe in you know, to follow the God's rule. So with that, I was fine. I was very you know, I was following my religion. I didn't do any of the crazy things that my some of my teammates did. Because obviously it's against my religion, but of course, I mean, there are so many of my teammates. I believe I'll give you a number. I will say like 85, 90% of the athletes cheat for
Yeah.
sure. I mean, as a rookie, that was like one of my duties to to to have people's second phone
Oh, I
because
was gonna
like
say that you're the excuse if the wife asks, "Oh no, he was with me."
so whenever we go on a road trip, right? They always have their second phone, that no one knows about. And whenever we come back home, I used to carry like five, six cell phones. And I used to go home and charge all of it. And the next road trip, I had to bring it all and just pass it on the players. But no, it's horrible, man. Listen, like some players I play with was like a really like loyal people, but like some players was like, my God, I don't know how they live with that guilt in their
But
heart.
would you ever like, so let's say you became friends, very good friends, and again, you don't have to mention names, but
Mhm.
you became very good friends with one of those players so that you feel comfortable at this point sharing, let's say, your disdain for his behavior. Would you go to, let's call him Joe, would you go to Joe and say, "Hey, I think we're close enough for me to say, man, why are you doing this? You look at the beautiful wife you have," or you never sort of cross that line?
Oh, of course, many times. I remember like when I was especially with the Knicks, right? We had this like on a plane, on team buses. We literally sit down, and I was like debating with these players about like, dude, like you have kids out there, you have families out there, you have wife out there. Like what are you doing? You know? And and listen, they didn't have those values, and also like these girls are like I hope like people like listen to this and like learn a lesson when I was a rookie. The NBA, one of the NBA Players Association did was it was so amazing because they used to like bring older players to to give us like lessons. And the first lesson was watch out for those girls that is out there to get you. There was
I
this
get you, fall pregnant, and now you're screwed.
exactly. I'll give you like I'll give you a couple story. It will just gonna blow your mind. So all the rookies are sitting down. There was this old player, I can't even remember his name. There was this like one old player walked in and he's like, listen, one day he was at a club and he was just having fun and he met with this girl. He took her back to her his hotel. And then they were just start like, like messing around and stuff. And then she told him that like she likes it rough, blah blah, whatever. I don't want to go into details and stuff. And he was very rough on her, right? And then after when they were done, she dressed up and she looked that in his eyes and said, "Listen, I need you
Can
to
I
write."
guess? Hold on, hold on. Can I
Yes,
guess?
go
I don't.
ahead.
Uh,
Yeah,
for $1 million, I don't go see the cops that you raped me.
exactly.
Yeah, there you go.
He said he looked that in his eyes and said, "Listen, if you don't write me a check for 100K, I'm calling the cops and say you raped me." Listen, man, he has to do it. He has to do it. Like, think about this. 100K is nothing for him.
Yeah.
You know why? Because he has so many endorsement deals on the line. He said he has so many contracts. He has a family. He has kids. So like even if she asks 1 million, he has to write it. And also that's gonna be all over the internet. That is nothing. Like that, if I don't want to like I don't know, it's like probably like some kids are watching this clip.
Yeah,
I don't
keep
want
it clean. Keep it clean.
yeah, trust me, this was like this story was like two. I know like 9, 10. If I tell you, you will just
You'll tell me
throw up your
offline.
chair.
Offline.
Okay, so this is crazy, man. So that's why like people needs to be smart, man. But I'm glad I've never faced anything like this throughout my career. Never drank, never, never had any of the things that against my religion. So that I can proudly say that my religion played a very important role in my career.
That's beautiful. All right. Last question, although I could keep you here for another 5 hours. Uh, I asked this exact question to Jonathan Isaac,
Mm.
and his answer was brutally honest. Maybe you're going to be as uncharitable to me. You and I step on the court. I am Messi's height. I'm 60 years old. We played a 21. Is there any chance in the world that I get a single point or there's zero chance?
Listen, we can try.
Can
We
you
can
imagine
literally
how
try.
viral it goes? You and I stand together on the court. Now, maybe you could be a bit charitable to the Jew and fake that you fell one way and I could score 1 point. Will you give me that?
Like, you know what? I will let you score a point because I'm a nice person. But then after that, I'm actually a very good soccer player.
Are you?
Oh my God,
Are you?
I
Are you?
love soccer more than basketball.
Hold on a second. Are you so confident in your soccer abilities that you actually think that you're a better soccer player than me?
100%. Like with basketball, I'll let you like you might like get a crazy shot and make it basketball. With soccer, man, like think I'm Turkish. Like I grew up playing
Turks are
soccer. I
very
didn't
good in
want to play
soccer.
basketball in the beginning. I wanted to be a soccer player. I was too tall. They were keep making me a goalie. I had to quit soccer. I started basketball. But right now, like if you ask me, like I don't watch basketball. I watch soccer more than basketball.
All right, so I think I found the perfect viral moment. You and I talked offline that hopefully I'm going to invite you down to Old Miss, where I'm
Yes.
currently a scholar. So we will do both the one-on-one basketball and then the one-on-one soccer and let the internet explode. Deal?
Listen, I'm in, man. I'm in. I'm in. You know what? That'll be amazing. Actually, and then we can have a conversation about this with the students
Oh,
and
this is
stuff, have these
fantastic.
conversations.
I said this about Charlie Kirk. I'm a Middle Eastern man, so I'm not very happy to ever imagine my daughter marrying any man. All men are evil,
I feel
disgusting,
you.
diabolical. I
I
never
feel
want
you.
a single man to even look at my daughter. But I
Yeah.
said about Charlie Kirk that he is so lovely that he's the type of guy that I might imagine him marrying my daughter. I'm gonna add you to that list, Ennis. That's
Oh,
the
I appreciate
highest
that. That's
compliment.
an honor. I appreciate
You're
it.
too tall and too old for her, but if you weren't that old, you would be the kind of guy that I would want my daughter to marry. Hey,
You know what though? Like this, like the culture of the Middle Eastern has, like the food and the music and the dances. Like, listen, man, I wish I could take all Americans or Canadians, whatever, to Middle East for a week or two, so they can taste the food, man. Like, I when I went to like Jerusalem, the food was just, even the hummus, man. It was just like it's different. It's not like you eat like the hummus you eat here. It's not hummus if you compare the one in Middle East. The falafel, the shawarma, it just I
it's
don't know how to explain
unbelievable.
it.
It's unbelievable. By the way, I'll end with this note. Two quick Turkish stories for you. And I don't think I've ever mentioned this publicly. Number one of my paternal aunts, so my dad has nine uh, sisters and
Wow.
one brother. They come from a family of 11. One of the sisters married a Turkish Jew, and
Uh,
she's lived her whole life in Turkey. I actually went to Turkey when we lived in Lebanon. I was around 8 years old.
mhm.
Second quick Turkish story. The first guy who hired me. So when I first finished my PhD and my first job as a professor, the chair of our department, who's now retired, I'm going to mention his name because I'm honoring him. His name is Zeki Gidengel, one
Okay.
of the absolute most elegant, kind, lovely men. And maybe I would have never come to my university were he
Oh,
not chair. So I have nothing but love for Turkish people. Now I add you to that love.
I appreciate that, man.
And it's stay on the line so we could say goodbye offline. Thank you so much. Best of luck with the book, people. In the Name of Freedom drops October 7th. Go and get it. Thank you so much, Enes.
Of course.
Cheers.